Why smash burgers are always better at restaurants. Now, why is a smash burger better at a restaurant? How do they get the meat so juicy when it's so thin? Why do they add onions to the meat when cooking it? How do you even smash it? These are questions I'm going to answer today on why it's always better at restaurants. You want to smash? No, really, smash burgers. Okay, that's bad. The only thing more embarrassing than that joke is my nose. Literally, I broke my nose in high school. Got hit with a flagpole during band practice. I could have broken it in a way cooler way, but yeah. Anyways, now you can't unsee that, but the smash burger. Do I love it more than the thick restaurant style burger? And I don't know, it's kind of hard for me. I can crush this. This is a crushable burger, but is it a sit down burger? Why is chuck beef the best meat for a burger? Why? Well, why not is the answer. Actually, no, really, there is a reason. The reason is the chuck has about, I'd say 15 to 20% fat content. So more fat is better for, okay, not more fat, but this is a good amount of fat content for it. And another reason is why there's barely any tendon in this, which will make it chewy. And why wouldn't I just use, say, a New York strip or a ribeye or a flank steak? You might be thinking oh, those are nicer cuts. Why don't you use a nicer cut? Well, while you may think those are nicer cuts, which they are, the chuck not only has the better fat content, which will make your burger juicier, but also it's less fibrous, if that makes sense. So those meats are made for slicing when they're done being cooked. So if it's more fibrous, it's going to be a drier, firmer, I guess firmer is a nicer way of saying chewy as texture, and your burger's not going to be very nice. So when you do go to restaurants that say they have steak in their burger grinds, that's mainly just because they're utilizing the scraps from those steaks and probably tossing it in with their chuck. It's not going to be all steak grind because that would be very unpleasant. And also, when working with meat, why do I use white gloves over black gloves? And the reason being is, if say I were to be a little clumsy, which I am, I don't fully trust myself sometimes. Anyways, I could accidentally say cut off my middle finger, just a touch of it, and I can see this little speck. See on my black shirt, I can see this little speck of glove on the meat as opposed to a speck of black on the meat just because it's darker. That's just a little thing I do. Anyways, that's the whole glove explanation. Now you're probably also wondering dude, why don't we just buy the meat already ground? That's way easier. Yes, but you could take more pride in what you're making and grind it yourself if you do happen to have a grinder at home. And also it just tastes better when it's freshly ground. So if you could ask the butcher at the store to grind some meat for you, or ask them hey, was this just ground today? And that would be good. And also safety wise, I don't always trust other people grinding the meat for me, especially if it's been sitting out, because ground meat can carry more bacteria. So you don't really want to have ground meat raw or medium rare unless you trust the source. Hence me, I'm the source. So I trust it and everything's clean. I'm working clean. I got gloves. I wash my hands, all this stuff. So yeah, grind your own meat. Now, why do I keep my grinder in the freezer? And no, I don't usually have it on ice. That's just for the shot. But the reason for keeping it on the freezer is so this is ice cold. See, when you're grinding the meat, and say the grinder starts to get hot, that fat is going to start to coagulate, and then it's going to start emulsifying, and I don't want that. And also another thing for health and safety concerns, keep it cold, which will also keep it safe. So yeah, that's just another reason for keeping it in the freezer. Now here is another reason for grinding my own meat. Why do I grind it twice? Now I could just do a once over, grind it on a fine grind like this and call it good. But if I run it through a second time, the meat is going to be much finer, obviously, but it's also going to disperse that fat more evenly, which is also going to make a juicier product. So the burger will be Actually much juicier. I noticed this right away when I did this at a restaurant I worked at where we did a 70s style burger. And it just, you could tell the difference right away. So if you could get your butcher to grind it again, have them do it. If not, just get yourself a grinder. This one was only like 60 bucks. Why use a scale when it comes to burgers? We're not baking, right? We don't need to be that meticulous. If you want, you can use a scale or a scoopy scoop. And I actually really like these for burgers just because you can get more consistent with your patties. If you're serving multiple patties, then you want them all to be consistent all around. You don't want to have one smash patty that's like, you know, say this wide and one that's like this wide, and you put them together, it's going to be all weird. So yeah, this is just for mainly for consistency's sake, and that is the whole reason why I'm using a little ice cream scooper today. So I don't want to hear it in the comment sections. I don't want to hear any complaints like, hey, you're being too serious with the burger. But no, it's actually a thing. It's good to be consistent every now and then. If you do plan on storing the patties as is, which you totally can, this is how we did it in the workspace, I would recommend putting paper on the meat directly. Now, why? Well, for one, butchers have been doing this for decades and decades, so it's a common practice, and I think it has to do with preserving the flavor of the meat because it doesn't impart the chemicals that the plastic would have, and also breathability. As you could tell, this plastic isn't like covering the whole like pan, and the paper is just touching the meat, so it's allowing it to breathe as well, so it's not developing all that moisture buildup and getting bacteria and yada yada yada. Now, why do restaurants use these for their smash burgers? Why do they all do it? You might think, well, hey, this fancy equipment is gonna make the burger so much better. Well, yes and no. This right here, pretty much the same as this. Cast iron skillet, your best friend. You can get one for 20 bucks or get this nice Staub one right here, which is enameled and it'll last you pretty much forever. Beyond the point though, the reason is it retains the heat. This retains the heat as well, which is gonna allow me to get a really nice sear before I'm drying out that meat. With other pans, it might not be the case. Like with a cast iron skillet, it works just as good as a flat top. The only cool part about a flat top is I could do multiple things at once. I could have my buns going, I could have my burgers going. Hell, I could even have a breakfast burrito going on the side as another order. It's just versatile in that sense. Now, why do raw onions go directly onto the meat patty when smashing? So here's the thing, caramelized onions are delicious, but when you add the raw onion onto the meat, it's gonna allow that onion to sort of meld in with the meat, especially if it's thinly sliced like this. It's gonna add more texture because it's gonna be fresh and have like some sort of crunch. It's gonna caramelize directly on the pan, and what it's going to do is something really neat, and that is called moisture retention. You see, when the onions start to cook, what do onions do? They release moisture. It's nice and wet. When the beef cooks, what does it do? It loses moisture as it cooks, gets drier when it's more well done, which is why when people order a well done steak, it is so dry. So if we add this to the meat, the moisture will release into the meat, thus making it more juicy, and this is why it's a common practice to put the raw onion directly on the meat for smash burgers. Now, why do I season the burger after it's been smashed? Well, the reason is the surface area. If I season it when it's a little ball, it's gonna be all bunched up when it's a little ball, and you're gonna have like a big lump of salt in one area, and it's going to be very unpleasant. So you season it after you've smashed it. Mustard, delicious. Mustard and the bun. Now look, the bun, it's not even toasted yet. Why do I want to add mustard to the bun before it's even toasted? See, if I add the mustard to the bun before toasting it, I'm gonna get like a nice caramelization going on that bun. I'm gonna have a nice tanginess built into it. I think it's kind of a Texas thing. I don't know. I grew up with Whataburger and those burgers had mustard on them. And I freaking love mustard on my burgers. But anyways, a good old Dijon mustard on the bun before toasting it is gonna give us like actually a nice little crust going on there. So mustard, try it out on your bun. Freaking yum.